We've already looked at the top 10 parodies of Dracula. This week, we'll look at the top 10 parodies of other vampire movies. I'll also have help from some friends, Zoe, Warren, and Axel.
We've heard so much about you. Papercut.
Vampires Suck is a 2010 American parody film written and directed by Jason Friedberg and Aaron Seltzer. It stars Jen Prosk, Matt Lanter, Christopher N. Ridgey, Ken Jeong, Anneliese van der Pol, and Ariel Kebbel. The film is a parody of the Twilight Saga franchise, mainly the original film and its sequel, New Moon. Like the previous Friedberg and Seltzer movies, the film was panned by critics for its humor and plot.
You know who we are, don't you? You're the Black Eyed Peas.
Why does everyone always think we're the Black Eyed Peas?
Vampire's Kiss, aka that movie in which Nicolas Cage ate a cockroach, is enjoyable when watched without any context whatsoever. Cage's vampire is also pretty different from the rest because of the psychological angle. His character is convinced that he's a vampire after a sexual partner bites him, but when he shows no signs of the transformation, he ends up donning fake fangs and acting like the vampire that he was meant to be. Peter Lowe is a driven literary agent and an example of the stereotypical narcissistic and greedy yuppie of the 1980s. He works all day and club hops at night, with little in his life but alcohol, cocaine, one-night stands with numerous women, and the pursuit of money and supposed prestige. However, he is slowly going insane and sees a therapist frequently. During these sessions, his declining mental health becomes clear through a series of increasingly bizarre rants which eventually begin to scare the psychiatrist.
Get the FBI. Will do. Call Scotland Yard. Right now. Phone Batman. I got it. Car 54, where are you?
American suburban life gets satirized in the gothic way as the Munsters offers a glimpse at the home life of a perfectly imperfect family of freaks. There's the Frankenstein monster Herman, who heads the family with his vampire wife Lily. As the family deals with one chaotic situation after the other, Herman and Lily also ensure that the young members learn some valuable life lessons. It is the kind of vintage sitcom that is worth rediscovering for a family watch. Lily isn't the only vampire as her father appears as Grandpa. Al Lewis pulls off a convincing performance while yearning for Transylvania, unintentionally capturing the evolution of vampires in pop culture. What was once seen as terrifying night creatures are now characters that are used for comic relief.
Once Bitten is a 1985 American teen horror comedy film, starring Lauren Hutton, Jim Carrey, and Karen Coppins. Carrey has his first major lead role playing Mark Kendall, an innocent and naive high school student who is seduced in a Hollywood nightclub by a sultry blonde countess, who unknown to him is a centuries-old vampire. While the film underperformed at the box office, it has since become a cult classic.
That suicidally romantic scoundrel.
Well, let's hope he's just romantic.
Only Lovers Left Alive. Tilda Swinton and Tom Hiddleston star as the titular characters, lonely vampires who hold a high-seated appreciation for human culture, music, and art. However, as the years pass and their chances of survival look bleak with zombies contaminating human blood, they just dwell in existentialist dread. Thrown in the mix are writer-director Jim Jarmusch's trademark deadpan humor and a diverse soundtrack boasting some niche electronic and rock numbers. All in all, it is not an average vampire comedy. Only Lovers Left Alive is more artistic and philosophical in its exploration of the vampire experience.
What sorcery is this?
Reveal yourself, tiny songstress!
Dark Shadows is a 2012 dark fantasy film based on the gothic television soap opera of the same name. Directed by Tim Burton, the film stars Johnny Depp, Michelle Pfeiffer, Helena Bonham Carter, Eva Green, Jackie Earle Haley, Johnny Lee Miller, Chloe Grace Moretz, and Bella Heathcote in a dual role. Christopher Lee has a small role in the film, his 200th film appearance and his 5th and final appearance in a Burton film. Jonathan Freed, star of the original Dark Shadows series, makes a cameo, which was his final screen appearance, as he died shortly before the release of the film. One of the film's producers, Richard D. Zanuck, died 2 months after its release. The film had a limited release on May 10, 2012, and was officially released the following day in North America. It performed poorly at the United States box office, but did well in foreign markets. Reviews for the film were mixed. Critics praised its visual style and consistent humor, but felt it lacked a focused or substantial plot and developed characters.
Two men on a vampire hunt. Simple? They certainly are.
The Fearless Vampire Killers, originally released in the United Kingdom as Dance of the Vampires, is a 1967 British comedy horror film directed by Roman Polanski, written by Gerard Brock and Polanski, produced by Gene Gutowski and starring Polanski with his future wife Sharon Tate, along with Jack McGoran and Elfie Bass, and featuring Ferdy Mayne. In the film, a doddering vampire hunter and his bumbling assistant travel to a small mountain village where they find the telltale traces of vampirism. The assistant becomes enchanted by the local tavern keeper's daughter before she is promptly abducted. Determined to save the buxom maiden, they confront the undead count in his castle. The film has been adapted into a musical, Dance of the Vampires.
You have been chosen, Buffy,
To do what?
to stop the vampires.
Does Elvis talk to you?
What initially drew mixed reactions as a movie eventually became a cult favorite television show, as Buffy the Vampire Slayer premiered in 1997. As is evident from the title, the series deals with a vampire hunter who is tasked with fighting off forces of darkness while also balancing her life as an ordinary high schooler. Joining her is a Scooby gang of both human and supernatural friends. On the surface, the show falls mostly in the action drama and teenage drama categories, but it has enough segues for comic relief that makes it one of the best vampire comedies in existence. In fact, one of the best Buffy episodes, Once More, with Feeling, plays out as a musical comedy.
What are you doing in my room?
Day Shift, a 2022 American action comedy horror film directed by J. Perry in his directorial debut, written by Tyler Tice and Shay Hatton from a story by Tice, and starring Jamie Foxx as a blue-collar father whose pool cleaning job is a front for his work as a vampire hunter. The film also stars Dave Franco, Snoop Dogg, Natasha Lou Bordizzo, Megan Good, Carla Souza, Steve Howie, and Scott Adkins. While at work, Bud sees a man leaving the house where he's working. He silently breaks into the house where he encounters two vampires, an elderly woman and a younger man, who lives there. Following a lengthy fight, he kills the vampires and pulls out their fangs with pliers.
It's been like this the whole time, Deacon, on dishes, and it still hasn't moved in 5 years. You're a cool guy, but you're not pulling your weight in the flat.
Emmy-nominated What We Do in the Shadows is currently on air with its 4th season, while Sci-Fi's Reginald the Vampire finds Jacob Balaton playing the titular character next month. The hype behind these two titles themselves proves the marketability of the vampire comedy subgenre. For decades, the lore of the blood-sucking Nightwalkers has inspired several horror movies and shows, but with parodies of existing vampire stories, it has also become common to laugh at their misadventures. In some cases, the humor might be less slapstick and more mellowed down, as can be seen in Jim Jarmusch's Only Lovers Left Alive. Set primarily in Staten Island, New York City, New York, What We Do in the Shadows follows the lives of 3 traditional vampires, Nander, Laszlo, and Nadia, Colin Robinson, an energy vampire, and Guillermo, Nander's familiar. The series revolves around the vampires interacting with the modern world and other supernatural beings. That was our look at the top 10 parodies of vampire movies. What did you think? Do you have a favorite parody of vampire movies? Are there any parodies you enjoyed that aren't on this list? Let me know in the comments section. Also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already and share this video. Check out my Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter franchise in the comments section, and until next time, this is Andrew in for Kevin Gibbons saying live long and prosper. May the force be with you and keep reaching for the stars.